Hello, my name is Amelia, and I would like to share with you a story about how tarot changed my life. In my tale, you will find out how a strange coincidence led me to an old woman who could read the future with tarot cards, and how this hobby transformed my life, my relationships, and my view of the world. I was born and raised in Annapolis, Maryland, where I spent long hours immersed in a world of books. Working as a librarian, I found myself in my element, surrounded by a world filled with the stories and wisdom hidden within these volumes. One day, I discovered a peculiar little shop on my way to work. I had to cross a peculiar part of town due to construction work on my regular route. I was drawn to this place, perhaps because of its unfinished old look or the aura of magic and mystery it emanated. It was a store filled with antiques and vintage items. Inside, at the center of a display case, was an ancient wooden chest with beautiful tarot cards on it. Something inside of me compelled me to enter and take a closer look at them. An old woman was sitting at a table in the corner, on which tarot cards were spread out. Her eyes were full of wisdom and knowledge, which she had accumulated over the long years of her life. She offered me a reading and to pick a card. I stared at the spread, thoughts racing through my mind. Go. If only viewers could hint in the comments which card to pick, I whispered to myself, recalling the numerous pick-a-card videos I'd seen on YouTube. Finally, I picked a card. My choice fell on the Hangman, a card symbolizing suspension and the need to change perspective. The woman smiled and said it was an unusually fitting card for me. I left the shop, holding the Hangman card in my hand and pondering what it might mean for me. I could feel my heart beating faster with excitement and fear. On one hand, it was an exhilarating adventure into the unknown, but on the other hand, I felt a certain unease and fear of the unknown. In the following days, I couldn't forget about my visit to the store. The Hanged Man card was constantly in front of my eyes, and I felt that I needed to delve into studying tarot more deeply. Buying my first tarot deck was a pivotal moment. I felt like I was holding not just beautiful pictures in my hands, but something more, some mysterious wisdom, encrypted in symbols and images. The more I studied each card, the more I immersed myself in this world, full of symbols and signs that seemed enigmatic and complex. I set about studying tarot with enthusiasm. I read books, watched YouTube videos, participated in online seminars. I was completely absorbed in this new hobby. And yet, I was cautious not to share my new interest with colleagues and friends. I was afraid that they wouldn't understand or even judge me. But soon, this fear was overcome. One day, one of my library colleagues, Jenny, noticed that I was reading a book about tarot during our lunch break. She asked about it, and I decided to be candid. I opened up to Jenny, telling her about my encounter with the old woman, about choosing the Hanged Man card, and how I started delving into the study of tarot. Jenny listened, and to my surprise, she was genuinely interested. Amelia, could you do a pick-a-card reading for me? She asked at the end of our conversation. I felt fear and excitement. I was a novice in this and unsure of my abilities. But at the same time, it was a perfect way to practice and apply my new knowledge. Agreeing, I spread my tarot deck and offered her to pick a card. She chose the Queen of Cups, which symbolized deep empathy, sensitivity, and emotional strength. This was remarkably accurate for Jenny, who had always been emotional support for our team. After this session, word spread among my colleagues. One after the other, they began to ask me to do a pick-a-card reading for them. Each session was unique, and each card they chose told them something that sounded internally correct for them. I felt that tarot truly opened a door to their inner world. My new hobby not only brought new understanding of my colleagues, but also strengthened our relationships. Tarot became a tool that helped me better understand their hopes, fears, and desires. I began to sense a new depth in my relationships that I hadn't noticed before. However, this was only the beginning. As soon as my colleagues started talking about their tarot sessions with their friends and family, I started receiving requests for tarot card readings from acquaintances and even strangers. People I didn't know began to call me, asking for a tarot reading. Many of them were skeptics who just wanted to see how accurate predictions could be. Sometimes it seemed like an impossible challenge, but each time when I looked at the cards, they told me something special and significant for the person who was choosing the card. One day, Mary, an old acquaintance whom I hadn't seen in several years, contacted me. She had heard about my tarot readings and was curious. I offered her to do a pick a card reading. She picked the Wheel of Fortune card, a card representing inevitable changes and karmic cycles in life. Mary was shocked by the accuracy of this prediction, as she was at a crossroads in her career and considering a job change. This card reading for Mary turned out to be an important moment not only for her, but also for me. She was so impressed by the accuracy and depth of the reading that she began to tell her friends and colleagues about it. After a while, I started to receive more and more reading requests. This process was exciting, but also exhausting. I was doing multiple readings each day after work, and it was hard to keep up with the volume. Despite this, I continued. I felt that my encounter with tarot was not just a random hobby, but something more. Conducting more and more tarot readings, I began to notice how my understanding of the cards and their meanings deeply changed my perception of the world. Each card, each reading was a lesson for me, revealing deep levels of human experience and emotions. I was also amazed at how different people responded to their readings. Some were embarrassed or scared, some were inspired or relieved. But for all without exception, the tarot reading became a mirror in which they saw a part of their soul that is sometimes difficult to see. One of the most memorable readings was a reading from my old friend, Rick. Rick was a reserved person. He always seemed a bit detached from the world around him. He came to me asking for a pick a card reading in the midst of a personal crisis. He had just broken up a long-term relationship and was in a state of total confusion and sorrow. When he picked a card, it turned out to be the Moon card. I explained to him that the moon in tarot symbolizes the unknown, hidden, and uncontrollable. This is a card of the subconscious, intuition, dreams, and emotions. I told him that periods of uncertainty and confusion, though painful, are a time of important internal growth and self-understanding. After the reading, Rick looked at me with astonishment in his eyes. "You know, Amelia," he said, "this is probably the most accurate description of what I'm feeling right now. Thank you." This reading helped Rick find some meaning in his crisis and gave him confidence that it was a temporary difficulty that he would come out of, becoming stronger. After this incident, I felt that tarot was not just a set of images or a predictive tool. It's a powerful tool for self-knowledge and understanding other people. It's a way to look into the depths of the soul, which are sometimes hidden from our own eyes. Reflecting on my experience with tarot, I started to realize that I wanted to share this experience with even more people. But how? I needed a way to reach more people without hosting an endless number of reading sessions at home. And then I thought about YouTube. Since I got acquainted with tarot, YouTube has been one of my favorite sources of information and inspiration. I could spend hours watching videos of various tarot readers, learners, and experts, listening to their unique interpretations and lessons. But until that moment, it never even occurred to me that I could start making similar videos myself. It took me some time to gather my thoughts and muster the courage, but soon I decided to give it a try. I bought a camera and microphone, set them up in front of my tarot reading table, and recorded my first video. It was a pick a card reading, in which I invited viewers to choose one of 3 cards with me, and then I read them. This process was exciting but exhausting. I was conducting multiple readings every day after work, and I found it hard to handle such a volume. But despite this, I continued. I felt that my acquaintance with tarot was not just a random hobby, but something more. As I conducted more and more tarot readings, I began to notice how my understanding of the cards and their meanings deeply changed my perception of the world. Each card, each reading was a lesson for me, revealing deep levels of human experience and emotions. I was also surprised by how different people reacted to their readings. Some were embarrassed or scared, some were inspired or relieved. But for all without exception, Reading tarot cards became a mirror in which they saw a part of their soul, which is sometimes difficult to see. One of the most memorable readings was a reading from my old friend, Rick. Rick was a withdrawn person. He always seemed a bit detached from the surrounding world. He turned to me with a request to conduct a pick-a-card reading in the midst of a personal crisis. He had just broken up a long-term relationship and was in a state of total confusion and sadness. When he picked the card, it turned out to be the Moon card. I explained to him that the Moon in tarot symbolizes the unknown, hidden, and uncontrollable. It is a card of the subconscious, intuition, dreams, and emotions. I told him that periods of uncertainty and confusion, though painful, are times of important internal growth and self-understanding. After the reading, Rick looked at me with surprise in his eyes. "You know, Amelia," he said, "this is possibly the most accurate description of what I'm feeling right now. Thank you." This reading helped Rick find some meaning in his crisis and gave him confidence that it was a temporary difficulty from which he would emerge stronger. After this incident, I felt that tarot was not just a set of pictures or a predictive tool. It is a powerful tool for self-knowledge and understanding others. It's a way to look into the depths of the soul that are sometimes hidden from our own eyes. Reflecting on my experience with tarot, I began to understand that I wanted to share this experience with a larger number of people. But how? I needed a way to reach more people without arranging an endless number of reading sessions at home. And then I thought about YouTube. From the moment I got acquainted with tarot, YouTube was one of my favorite sources of information and inspiration. I could watch videos of various tarot readers, learners, and experts for hours, listening to their unique interpretations and lessons. But until then, I hadn't even thought about starting to create similar videos myself. It took me some time to gather my thoughts and muster the courage, but soon I decided to give it a try. I bought a camera and microphone, set them up in front of my tarot reading table, and recorded my first video. It was a pick-a-card reading, where I invited viewers to pick one of the 3 cards with me, and then I read them. It was a bit awkward to talk in front of the camera, and I had to reshoot the video several times before I was satisfied with the result. But when I finally uploaded the video to YouTube, I felt such a relief and joy that I hadn't felt in a long time. I didn't expect the video to get a lot of views or responses. I just wanted to share my experience and hope that it would help at least one person. But what happened next exceeded all my expectations. Views began to grow, and soon I started receiving comments from people around the world who were impressed by the accuracy of my reading and found it helpful. Many of them requested more videos, and I was more than happy to fulfill these requests. Like reading tarot for friends and colleagues, I enjoyed doing readings on camera. I like thinking about which cards would best suit each video and what they might mean to the people watching them. I liked feeling that I was helping people, even if we never met in real life. My interest in tarot became something bigger than I could ever imagine, and it all started with that strange date when I was offered to pick a card. My YouTube channel began to grow, and with it, my interest in tarot grew. Each video I uploaded opened up new aspects and depths of the cards to me. Each comment from my viewers offered a new perspective or story that I could use to improve my understanding of the cards. One day, I received a comment from a woman in Italy. She wrote that my pick-a-card reading was very helpful during a time when she was dealing with a serious personal problem. She said that her card choice and my interpretation helped her see her problem from a different angle and gave her the strength to overcome it. This reminded me of my meeting with the mysterious woman and how deeply tarot can change lives. This is and has been the most important thing to me in working with tarot and my YouTube channel, seeing how it can be helpful and educational for people. I really began to feel that this was my mission to share my knowledge and understanding of tarot with others. Of course, there were difficulties. Sometimes it was hard to find time to create videos along with working in the library. Sometimes I faced criticism or negative comments. But each time I faced difficulties, I remembered my experiences of reading for friends, how they were amazed and inspired by what they saw in the cards. And this always brought me back. Over time, my YouTube channel attracted more and more viewers. Each new video I uploaded was getting more and more views and comments. And every time I was amazed and grateful for how many people found my videos helpful. This is what prompted me to take the next step. And so, time went on, my channel grew, and with it my passion for tarot. One day after work, sitting at my desk in the library, I thought, why not take this seriously? Why not make reading tarot my career? The thought was so exhilarating that my heart pounded. I spent a long time thinking about this step, realizing that it would change my life. However, looking at how my videos inspire and help people, I began to understand more and more that this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people find answers to their questions and gain self-confidence with the help of tarot. And so, after several months of reflection, I decided. From that moment on, I devoted my entire life to tarot. I left my job at the library and became a full-time tarologist. It was an exciting and at the same time frightening decision, but deep down, I knew it was the right thing to do. Every day I now spent at my table, surrounded by tarot cards, and every day I was inspired and amazed at what they could show. I started doing individual tarot sessions, and I enjoyed seeing how people reacted to their messages. Each session was unique, and each brought new lessons and understanding. One day a woman named Sarah came to me. She was in deep depression after the death of her father. Sarah said it was difficult for her to move forward and that she needed some guidance. We had a long tarot session where each card she chose spoke of her inner world, her fears, and hopes. It was incredible, but at the same time hard, as Sarah's emotions were so intense. However, when we finished the session, she looked at me with eyes full of gratitude. She said that it was one of the most powerful sessions in her life and that it helped her see her situation from a new perspective. She even promised to write a comment on my YouTube channel and recommended me to all her friends. This was another moment when I realized I was doing something that truly mattered. And here I was, sitting at my table, surrounded by tarot cards, realizing that my life had completely changed. And all this thanks to tarot. There have been many moments when I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of people's stories and help them through tarot. It has become something much bigger than I could ever imagine. And it all started with one random day and the choice of one card. With each new day, with each new reading, I understood more and more that this was my destiny. This is what I live for and what I want to do. And I'm sure this is just the beginning of my journey. Returning to the present and looking at the cards in front of me, I feel more alive and filled with purpose than ever before. My tarot adventure has changed my life for the better, and I hope it can change the lives of others. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and don't forget to leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear your stories and how tarot has changed your life. This was my story of how tarot changed my life. But I'm sure there are many other stories yet to be told. Maybe the next story will be yours. Thank you for watching, and I really look forward to meeting you in the next video. See you soon.